health is. So to the town of Princetown, I hereby donate $2,482. Back to the town. I would like to contribute this amount to the Historical Committee under Irma Mastrian for effort involved in resurrecting audio, video, and paper archives and making them available eventually on our website. The Civic Committee, which is instrumental in doing much of this restoration work, most notably Diane Jankowski, Mary Sue Reed, and Gloria Schaefer. This committee should share this money in accordance with Mrs. Mastrian's wishes to maximize the results. It is my sincerest hope that this gesture will nudge Princetown in the direction of cooperation and respect that has been missing in this town hall since I was elected a year ago last month. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and look forward to a harmonious and productive 2013.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's very, very, very generous. Really very generous. I'm sure the historical subcommittee will put it to good use. Mike, just for, do we need a resolution to kind of accept this?
We really should.
So, Joe, as we go through the meeting here, I'll write a resolution just to formally.
I have a question for you. If it's being donated to a specific committee,
That's what
I mean, it's not to the town
Right.
board,
Right.
so do we really need a resolution?
You should, if it get accepted on the condition that it's going to that committee, which is a committee of the town, then the town is going to have to keep those funds separate from the dedicated purposes.
The check is good for the town of Princeton, so I think we're going to have to take it in and then cut a check from the town to society. Sort of.
No, they have an account.
Do they have their own account?
Yes, the question is,
Yeah.
right, but does the town bookkeeper maintain their account, or do they maintain a separate?
They have a treasurer and a committee.
I'll take that for a minute.
It's a question whether Joe authorizes a check directly to the committee. Because if it goes to the town, it means that you need a budget. Well, yeah, you're receiving that revenue, and then you have an expenditure that's going to go to the historical.
So we should write a resolution to accept it and then do an immediate transfer to.
Can you just write the historical committee on after conference on this check? And we don't have to do anything else?
That's the way to do it. Historical committee at 501c3.
What are we going to do? I can write another check.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier if the check were directly to the historical committee. If they have their separate account.
Is there,
You're asking if it was a 501c3, I don't know if it is or not. I'm not sure if it's set up that way.
okay.
Joe might get a text.
Yeah.
I think it's over the tax rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just Princetown Historical Committee. Is that the, what's on the checkbook for the email touching?
Say that again?
What's on the account name?
It's civic and historical.
Princetown.
I believe. Conference on civic and historical.
Civic and historical. Nothing is easy.
But it's, again, very appreciated.
Then we don't do the resolutions. Just pass the check out.
Joe. Lou, anything for yourself or?
Well, I was just questioning there how the comp plan is coming along right now.
We're doing good. We met Monday night, and we're meeting again Monday night, and we're scheduled for the 3rd, which is, yeah, it's gonna be, unfortunately, we're gonna have to bump you out of this room. I know. We got the organizational meeting that day. So it's, you know, again, I encourage, you know, not only the board, but the citizens. It's a pretty important piece of document. We had Bob Cole sitting with us last night, and he provided some feedback. I mean, obviously had, you know, something in there for himself, but, or concern anyway. But he sat in and gave us some, you know, some feedback. I think it's doing good. I mean, it's pretty important, and everybody's contributing. You know, it's a lot of work. It's, you know, it's unpaid. So, you know, the volunteers, you know, in particular Pat, you know, they're doing it. And
What's the timeline on it being completed so we can review it?
Well, you can review what's online now. Not wait for the finished product. Because that's actually a concern. I'd rather the board review this as we're going through. If you have concerns, don't wait till we've, you know, got down to the final draft, and then we got, you know, questions. If you know, feel free to stop in and contribute. I mean, it's the committee, but if you have reservations, you know, express them now. Don't wait till the end. So if we're hoping January 3rd will be probably maybe 90, close to 90%.
It depends on how long it's going to take us to get through the recommendations. So that's what we're going to work on for the next 3 meetings.
Yeah.
And if it goes quickly, you know, we'll be done. You know, stumbling blocks, yeah. I mean, I can put the draft with the track changes on in and up on the website. If you want to go and look and see what's changed so far.
So if all goes well, maybe the 3rd meeting, if there's a 3rd meeting, or 3 meetings in January, we might be able to wrap it up and go with it. So it's got to go to county first?
Yeah, the county has to review it. We need to have a public hearing. I got the whole thing all laid out, Ann gave it to me. She had all the steps, you know, once we had it reviewed. I think we have to have a public hearing too, maybe.
Sorry?
It's up to review right now for that so
No. She'll put it online, which the document's got track changes in it, so if somebody scratched a word out, put another word in there, a sentence, it'll highlight off to the side saying this was a change. So you can go online and look at it. It's not ready for review yet. But up to chapter 11, 12, 11, they've been done. So all those track changes up to 11 are done, if there's 14, I think. It's really 11 and 12, which are the heavy ones. So I know we're behind compared to what we wanted to do in January, but, you know, Pat's keeping at it, and so is the rest of the committee. And again, you know, encouraging feedback. And that goes for, you know, the citizens. This is an open forum. I mean, they're open committee meetings. You guys can come in and sit and listen. You know, it's up that we do the changes and tracks and follow it all up on the, you know, on the overhead, so everybody can see it. And if you're still volunteering, we probably have some tasks we can ask for some, you know, some help on some tasks. So, anything else?
Yes. I think it was last meeting, we had a presentation on the E-code. I think maybe it was the meeting before, I don't remember. But we did go down to Rotterdam. Norm and I went down to ask how the E-code was, how they liked it. And we had some feedback on it. And needless to say, it's not being used very much in Rotterdam. Most of the code enforcement people use the book as opposed to the E-code. And even the clerk who in charge of that department doesn't use it. My suggestion is, rather than signing a contract is, and I did discuss this, I brought it up to Mike, and Norm and I discussed it, maybe we could have either Tim Bishop go over this. Maybe we can contract with him to go over our codes, revise them, what's applicable and what's not, and have him design something as opposed to signing a contract and spending all of this money when it's not going to be used. I mean, we're a small town. We do have to upgrade our codes. A lot of them overlap, but I can't see spending all of this money if the system's not going to be used in a small town. And especially if we have someone in the town that has the ability, I don't know if he's willing to or not, to upgrade the codes himself and work with anybody in the town that wants to do it. This was my suggestion. Norm and I, we talked about it. You know, we just went down and spoke with people in Rotterdam, and
Well,
that's what.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Shame on Rotterdam for not taking advantage of the system. You know, the laws in the town are like an industry. We have controlled documents that, you know, very important that they're up to date, and that if somebody's fixing a helicopter or a turbine or something, they got the latest manual to go by so that they're going to put the right parts in there. The same is true with our laws in town. You want to make sure that you got the latest laws and that they comply with the state and everything else. And to me, it's a very neat and efficient way of having really up-to-date laws. And, you know, on the computer, anybody can go online and just look at it.
Well, no,
and be
I
confident
agree
they have
with
the
you,
latest one.
but why spend the money if we have someone in the town that could probably update the system?
Well, what makes them?
So, yeah, so just a quick thought. So, and I spoke with Dan too, and
I'm not trying to bust that.
so there's probably an age gap. It's somewhere about 50. I don't want to try and make any reflections on anybody, but about 50 years old, people can use paper compared to people below 50 are going to use computers. We're going electronic, so that's number one. I did talk to Dan, he does use the paper. As part of the deal, we would get 7 or 8 binders of paper, which we get updated, as Joe said. But his secretary, or the admin down there, does use it because she cuts and pastes. If somebody puts a question in and sends a letter, she cuts and pastes from the E-code onto the document and then mails it out. So that's a couple of things. So the next piece is asking Tim Bishop or a resident of town to do that. We have to assume 2 things: that he could take the paper copies and scan them in and put them electronically. So that's I would think doable. But to take a citizen who's probably not versed in code enforcement law and ask him to provide an update to all our codes and all our laws, we might as well just ask Mike to do it. And I think it would be really expensive. This is one of the advantages of the E-code, is they're going to take all our laws, filter it, run it through the state and counties and see, and bring everything up to code, feed it back to us and say, these codes, these laws are all out of date. You need to, and our advice is to update it. So, you know, we're talking with Gino, Pat, Vic, Dan, George, all our laws are outdated. So this in one fell swoop will take all our documents and bring them up, and then we can public hearing, you know, in bulk, you know, an effort to bring all our codes up to current status. I don't think you're going to catch Tim or anybody to do this for less than these people are asking. And I don't think you've got the expertise to do it. It's one thing to put it and scan and put it onto a disk, but to make it as a search engine and readable and be able to go out to other towns and use it as a search engine, I don't know. So maybe to the question, would we use it or not? So the question is, you know, not necessarily will Dan ever use it, but can the citizens use it? Can the residents use it? Can they go in and say, hey, I want to put a pool in, log into Princetown, what's the requirements for a pool? What's the setbacks on this? What are the answers? And it'll bring them up as a search engine. So I know, again, going back to the age thing, is that not necessarily everybody in our age bracket uses computers, but I mean, I don't think anybody's got kids or grandkids, they live on the computers. I'm sure they know what paper is. So just, you know, some thoughts, and I know it's a pretty big bill, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to try to stretch it over 3 years. If we passed it this time, you know, we could set a payment of $3,000 or $4,000, then $3,000 or $4,000 next year, and then top it off in 14, and it would not hurt the budget. And a little bit of my thought process behind that was that this would kind of force the town, because we wait for, you know, I know Vic has stepped up, Gino stepped up, Pat stepped up, saying, update this law, update that code. This kind of pushes the town into, you have to do this. You have 6 or 8 months to gather this. We're going to provide feedback to you. It forces the town to say, you know what, we need to sit down and do this all at once. So it's kind of a hidden, in my mind, a hidden positive output of it is that it will push us to, you know, we'll need George and Vic and Gino and Dan and say, okay, yeah, now we have the book and we have these changes. We just have to go through and approve them or disapprove them. And you know, within 18 months, we have a brand new book. And they do publish the paper copies, right, Pat? I mean, they give us, I mean, I don't know how many copies, but they give us updated copies of the paper. And that would be a good job.
What company is this? Soul Publishers?
Yeah, General Code.
General Code, yeah, they're excellent.
So
The Village of Altoona just did this recently, and they did an excellent job. They, you know, their attorneys look through everything, and they give you recommendations. Now it's not very similar to what you have here. It's, you know, a number of laws from 20, 30 years, so the last, and it was a big help. Their attorneys did a lot of recommendations to upgrading things. So.
People using?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. It's the Bible now, you know. It's the one that they use, because up to that time, it was all, you know, a few laws here, a few laws there. 5 years ago, this law was passed, but now it's all in one book, and they do the upgrade. So it's expensive, but you're still gonna have,
I think
you're
over
gonna have
time,
somebody
though,
do it.
I think over time, it's going to pay for itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember I used to have to update some of these manuals
Yeah.
when I was working. It would take me a half a day. Every quarter,
Right.
you get a packet of revisions.
Yeah.
And what you do is you go through, okay, page 833,
Yeah.
you know, obsolete this one, put in.
The only thing we found with ours was, there were some amendments to have to make after it was done, and we realized that they charge for every amendment, so you have to kind of consolidate them over maybe a year and a half or 2, and then put it all together and have just one, you know, upgrade to it. But it was right, really.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of a bit of an expense, but I guess I think the benefits are just way outweighed. Especially just the piece about kind of, again, pushes the town saying, here's your books, you need to, they're all upgraded. And then when it's all done, can they go be filed with the State Department?
Yes, yeah.
See, I mean,
Yeah,
they're doing all the work that we would
Yeah.
be paying, you know, they would be paying Gino, Vic,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, Dan, you know, Carol to file with the State Department, asking all the boards to step up to make accommodations, public hearings, and we still have to have public hearings, but, I don't know,
It's an idea which time has come.
I'm thinking so. Bob, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, if we had the funds, you know, where we can, you know, not be really tying ourselves up, you know, broke it down into 3 years, which that really helps as far as the financial aspect. But I think it's a good thing as far as, you know, updating our laws and getting things checked. But I can understand the money aspect for a little town, that's always a issue that we need to be concerned with. We can be frugal with our money, but if it's something that would be of use and benefit to our town and residents, I don't have a problem with it.
And I hate to pick on one example, and then since I'm the prime on it, and obviously I'm not, you know, championing it as I should be, we'll take the dog law, for example. So we started that in June, and it's my fault, we're not taking the lead on it, and, you know, we're just pounding it, and it just goes on and on and on. So once we start adding in the time of the board, Darla's time, you know, send it to Mike, or the attorneys, it really starts chewing time, and, you know, that's the cost that's hard to capture. That's right. Todd?
Back when Pat first brought this to our attention, I actually got some feedback from the Rotterdam planning area. The feedback that I got was that when they did it, they really needed to do it because their written laws were just a mess. So for them, it was, that part of it was critical to get everything fixed, consolidated, compliant, and up to date. So some of the feedback that I got from there was that just doing it was so necessary and such a vast improvement for them. The only other feedback I got out of there was that it was the process itself was labor intensive for their town clerk's office because they were the one that went for the back and forth with a lot of getting the job done. But the feedback that I got in the Rotterdam so
Is it Rotterdam?
yeah, Rotterdam Planning Department. So I like the idea that I think we have some similar, you know, need here to clean up some antiquated language. I think it would have a positive overall impact. I would like to, though I recognize that, you know, the probability of getting some grants is probably not very good. I'm not sure it's not worth going through the process, especially because I wouldn't have to do it. But, you know, if there's any chance we could get any assistance in the form of a grant, it'd be nice to try it.
Who knows, just got promoted. So, and just to, you know, and I know we went through this in the budget process, but I know we asked all the departments to manage very, very closely, but if we did go with this, then I would be fine with saying, okay, well, you know, this person or this team or this department, hey, you know, they need some